Hello, beautiful Rise community. I am so delighted for this next session because we have here this special guest with us. Her name is Marisa Russo, and she is the founder of the Forensic Healing System, which is an international award-winning teacher, speaker, alternative therapist, and author of Freeing the Unloved Girl. Marisa's mission has led to sharing the stage with the world's foremost thought leaders, including Rave Michael Beckwith from The Secret and the late Wayne Dyer. Welcome, Marisa.
Thank you. Such a pleasure. Thank you so much. I'm excited.
Yeah, so let's dive right in, right? I want to start by asking you this big question. Why people are not getting what they want? What stops them from getting what they want in life?
It's a big question with a big answer, but I'll say it like this. We understand vibration. We understand that we vibrate, and then we attract, like attracts like. So we get that. And I think the difficult thing is we don't understand ourselves, and we don't see ourselves. And we can see someone else, but we can't see ourselves. And then why we don't see ourselves is because we've always been a certain way, because most of the conditioning and most of the damage or healing, whatever's been done to us, is childhood. So I usually say to someone, I'll go, why it's so hard? It's particularly hard if someone has been stuck. They don't get out, they don't mix cultures. And because it's like saying, stop being, like if you're American, stop being American. And someone will go, I don't know how not to be American if all I've ever done is lived in America. You've just told me that you've traveled a lot. So it's you get a broader view, you get to look outside the box, and you're able to see everything from a different perspective. So they don't get what they want, one, because we're not taught to look at the programming or how everything sets us up in patterns and cycles. And I'm still seeing it at a deeper level the older I get. And life is our benchmark. So when we look at when something's happening, there are many reasons it's telling us. If there's negativity, it doesn't always mean that we're a negative person. It can be many things, because the universe can tell you to go on a different route. And if you're not, it'll throw a roadblock. So it's a big question, and it's got a big answer. And I did write a blog post once giving 13 reasons why negativity can come up in your life. And it's about trying to understand that why don't I have what I want? What is inside me? Why am I programmed like that? But life's always showing you the message. And if you keep saying you're showing me the message, then it gets clearer, and the universe will be clearer with messages. I really like to work with demonstrations, because I normally will go back. Someone will say, well, I'm struggling with finances. And then I'll go back to an age in childhood, and it is probably a time where some trauma happened, and maybe they lost their house, or maybe, the parents really struggled with money, or something around money affected them as a child, and they're carrying that vibration. Sometimes they'll be that money just is conflict for them because it was conflict in childhood. And so they'll have a emotion about it, but you're not thinking that. You're not really thinking that as an adult, and you don't really know it's sitting inside you. So it's this one is forensic healing really is. It's being the detective. And I did the journey. I was on this journey to heal myself, because I've had everything thrown at me, from toxicity, ate arsenic at age 18, and sexual abuse, physical abuse. So my journey pushed me to try alternative stuff. And when I would be healing someone, I became a practitioner, I would say to myself, why didn't I get 100%? And I was always thinking, why didn't I get 100%? And then when I did tours, that's quite stressful to be in front of someone and then do a healing. And if I never got 100%, I would say, why? What was it that I didn't get the results I wanted? I didn't say I didn't get results, but I just always wanted 100%. I wanted, and so that was always my question. And there's many aspects to it. When I teach in the class, I'll say, there's many things going on right now because your environment is filtering in. And if we've got a room full of people that are loving and kind and want the best for that person, they're all part of the healing. Do you know what I mean? There's just, it's like our home environment. If we got negative people that don't want you to change, that could be part of why, you know, there's all these kind of links. It's kind of being put on, that's being put on the matrix, right? They tie you down in so many ways.
Yeah, right. Yeah, thank you for that. That was just the iceberg. I'm sure that you can go much deeper into answering that. And really, I want to tie it into the theme of our summit, which is about trauma. And you mentioned, you know, if something happens to us and we carry that and we create an entire neurological pathway that we kind of following on autopilot without ever stopping and asking, where did we get it? And do we still need it? And how can we get rid of it if we don't need it and it does not serve us? So I wanna talk about how do you detect those patterns? How do you pinpoint on, oh, that's why I have this block to manifest what I want in my life?
Some of them are very obvious, but it's called becoming aware. You know, it's this level of, like someone saying, okay, I'm going to look at the laws of attraction. You have to start there. But I'll tell you one pattern that was just incredible that I realized about myself, and so this is the depth of it, is that my father was a real estate agent. And he beat me. He had an army belt, and like he would be mad and he would just beat me. Plus, he sexually abused me. And I didn't realize, but when I would buy a house, which didn't happen often, it's not like so you don't notice it. But the times, especially when I started doing energy healing, because then you become, once you start, there's this, you know, two-edged sword. You start opening your energy up to get healing, and then it starts to show you what's inside you. And if I ever bought a house, which isn't often, there was always extreme difficulties. You know, the interest rates go up. I put myself in a situation where we bought before we sold, and then we couldn't sell. All these kind of scenarios, and then I realized, and because this isn't that obvious, that the trauma of my dad inflicted upon me from, you know, for coming home after, you know, selling real estate, put trauma in me about real estate. So that's like a pattern that's you wouldn't be thinking of. But we have all these types of patterns of fears of certain things. But I'll say to someone, I'll go, okay, so let's like, I usually like to, you look like you're so balanced and so lovely. I used to say, I like saying to someone, tell me what's not working, and then I'll go back and I'll do it with you. So is there anything that you can think of, like anything?
Yeah, I mean, you said it so beautifully that it's all about the awareness. So once we shine that light of awareness into the dark, into the corners, then we can start seeing what is there. And when we remove that resistance, right? Because sometimes we hold on to our identity almost for dear life. And this is not our identity. Our identity is the divine being that we came here to be, right? And then along the journey, we collected all these conditioning and you know, society input, and our parents, mother, father, and all that input that made us move from our authentic self and made us, you know, we had to survive for many of us, through whether abuse or dysfunctional patterns that goes in the family, or poverty, or whatever our personal story is. It doesn't really matter, because we all have our personal story. And then it's really, you know, the life that we are leading as adults is to unpack and actually undo. right? More than do. We don't need to do much. We already perfect and, perfect imperfection and divine as we are. We really have to just get in touch with that essence and clear what stands in the way. So I see the work as more undoing than doing.
Yes, it's undoing what we've been. I mean, it's a system that disempowers us. So particularly women, I find, because my workshops are for women only, and there is a difference in, they struggle more in creating a business than a guy does, because it's natural for them. A guy will naturally, they'll see their father do it. A woman tends to be serving others, and so there's different, archetypes and things like that. But through all this, there's the ultimate thing that we're here to learn is to trust the universe and connect to source, because once you get that connection, and it needs to push you in that direction. The other thing is, I say to the universe, I say, I will do what you want me to do. And I've always been this way. I was a Mormon for 18 years. And I'd always get these blessings saying that I was a good, I was obedient, not in the real obedient way, but my heart was always in the right place. So I'm very obedient. And I know that if I don't learn something, the universe will give me some pain. The pain is to change. Really, all our pain is to say you're worth more, or, spend time on yourself and heal yourself, or meditate. That our pain is a reflection of us. So or if we're angry and mad, I say to people, that causes bad karma. I mean, because my business is healing, then I really understand the universal laws, because I have a business that runs on energy. And if I don't have the right students or the right people working for me, then that filters through. But then I'll say, that's still me. I am still the attractor of those people. So I will go, yes, that might be it. But universe, you're telling me, I need to value myself more, what I do. And so so the journey is about really, letting go, surrendering, and getting the messages so you don't go into pain. Say, okay, universe, I'll be kinder. That's what I was going on to, that to be mindful that when we are angry, we actually are harming somebody. And I see this a lot when someone will be very resentful with maybe a partner or family member, and I'll go, but you have a choice, and you harm them when you're angry, and they're teaching you that you deserve more, and you need to change. If it's not working for you, the message is change something. And because we're harming people, and then if we have negative people around us, or even I noticed jealous people, that really affected. I noticed how I'm so affected by what's around me. So we have to be that aware and awake to say, is this the right energy? And if I have the right energy, I'm in the flow. If I don't have the right energy, I need to change me. That might be out there, but I'm the creator. And I love to show people that they have all the choice and all the power to create. And trauma really makes it difficult for people, because it's fragmented their soul. So there are actually parts of them that aren't even whole. They're not with them. And the more you heal, the more you can bring those parts back. And so trauma is that journey, and the journey will be that's spiritually evolving, is to get uncomfortable. And so healing is so uncomfortable, because it's like going through what happened to you. It's actually feeling the pain to see the truth. You need to see what happened to you. And that's why if someone, it has been hurt and they're abused as a child, one of the biggest healing parts that occur when I do workshops, or how I teach the instructors, is to apologize and stop and say, you did not deserve that. I'm sorry for your pain. And that they've never really heard that. Many people don't ever hear. And for once they've been acknowledged, and for once they can stop going, they just stop. It's not suppressed anymore. I'm saying you're hurt. I'm saying you're in pain. And that is part of the healing process, but then it's for someone seeing the pain. So it can be painful to be recognized, but it's also healing. So the journey of a traumatized person, it needs to be done, because if they're traumatized, they'll create chaos outside of them. We just have to do it, and to ask for the truth. If you want to know the truth, you'll always get the right people. You'll always get the right environment to heal. When you say, I'll do it, I'll be courageous with this. So I love to help people in that, because they change their life. I mean, what happened to me, I'm such a truth. I've always been wanting to seek the truth. And I remember when I was a Mormon at the time, so the Mormon church helped me in the way that it stopped me from killing myself. There was no drinking, no smoking. I cleaned up my energy, but it also taught me to connect with God, and that God would answer you. So it was a good training for me. And so I was starting to, have this cleaner life, and then the trauma inside me started to, come out. But I remember standing up in my lounge room, and I remember getting the visuals of my father. He abused me as a child, and they flashed before me. And I called my mother, because then I remember, it's like I remembered, yes, that did happen, because I remembered, it was almost like the memories came back, because it's, I remembered it. I finally remembered it, because you can have memories that are hidden. But long story short, my mother didn't believe me. But when I went to my father, who lived in a different state, and I said to him, I wrote him a letter, you sexually abused me and I want an apology. I just said that. And then finally, I think after some time, I was invited into his house when I visited that state, and everyone left the house, and it was just me and him. And he said to me, so you want an apology? And he goes, you want me to say sorry? And so he pulled out a letter, and then he gave it to me, and I'm sitting at this table, and then I'm starting to read, and it was 20 reasons why I should never have been born. Like, I'm a whore. I joined a cult, and it was just this, I'm sorry that you joined a cult. I'm sorry that you're a whore of a daughter. I'm sorry. And he just listed 20 reasons why. And that was so traumatizing. I remember trying to get out of the house, and I couldn't anyway. I finally got out. But I look back and I think, if I got an apology, I wouldn't have seen the power of what it can do, because I would have got it, and then I wouldn't have thought twice. Me longing for that is what I think makes me, more understanding. I go, that's what you're wanting. You're wanting someone, because the family members who abuse you generally don't say sorry. You want that. You want someone to say you didn't deserve it. And that's a big way to heal, by actually looking at what happened to you, and someone acknowledging that part of the healing journey for you. But all those, it's that, as you said, and I've said before, it's that awareness of looking at yourself and going, well, who am I, and how do I think, and what am I judging, and where's it all coming from? And to just see that it's come from the conditioning and the programming. And trauma really makes you so in flight or fight that it's very hard to see outside yourself, because you're anxious, you're worried about what people think of you, or you're just in pain. You have all these things going through your mind. So that's why it is the journey, and the journey to say, I'm going to turn my pain into my power. You have to convert that. And, I say turn it into something beautiful, because it is, because a lot of people in a lot of pain are actually here, who have been abused and in a lot of pain, are part of this transition on this planet now. They're actually, when they're healing the grids, they're healing humanity. So it doesn't sound like fun to say, oh, well, but you're a blessing to humanity. You're a star seed or an indigo child or something like that. But when you can get past that and know that healing yourself is actually healing this planet, and that you will get through it. It's I don't like to say to people, well, you agreed to it before you came, because I couldn't hear it myself. I go, why would I agree to that? But you let the person come to their own conclusion about that. But there is purpose to that pain, and I wouldn't want someone to waste it, to think that there's no value to who they are, and that that pain that they went through can be put to purpose.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And this conclusion that you just brought up is really the essence of this work that I'm doing and sharing with so much passion, because it's really about turning that pain into, as you said, power, purpose, and passion, right? We have that capacity as the alchemist of our life. And I resonate with what you said, because I also have turned a lot of pain into power and purpose and passion. And I know that if I did it, then anyone else can do it, because I'm no one special. And we all equal souls in that realm. And it's really out of the comfort zone where we grow. And so we either willingly take ourselves out of our comfort zone, out of that comfortable little place that we created ourselves, and we go and we explore the depth of our soul, the depth of our journey here, and really unpack it, and we walk into it willingly. Or if we don't, then the universe will take us there with a slap, because this is our journey. We can't get away with hiding. We can't get away with playing small and not wanting to grow through the discomfort, right?
So would that be true for you, that because you obviously have this mission and purpose on the planet, do you find that if you're not listening or you're not following it, that the universe does give you a slap and makes it nice and clear to make sure that you fulfill this mission?
Absolutely. I think it starts with little nudges and a whisper. And if we're attentive and we listen, great. But if we don't, then it's a louder shout, and it can result in, something more kind of life interrupter, like an accident or dismissal from work or divorce, whatever it can be, because life is always supporting us to grow, supporting us to realize our essence. It's never just happening to us, and definitely not punishing us for something bad we've done or anything of that sort. And it's really about shifting from victimhood consciousness into being the victor, being the co-creator of life, taking that responsibility that we are divine creators of our life. And life is there to show us the path, to show us what we still have to either undo or master within ourselves, right?
Well, totally. In fact, I've got to the point now, because now running my own business, I have freelancers and people working for me, and I find that when people are around me, I find that I bring out sometimes some dysfunction. But what I've decided to do, and this is with anybody, I've decided now, this is how I'm going to respond when anything doesn't work out. If they do something wrong or whatever, I'll say, that is my creation. And so if someone wants to blame me for something, I'll go, now, you know what? Yeah, because I've chosen you to work or be part, or you're a part of my family, whatever it is. Yes, that I'm saying that is my creation, and I'm not going to fight it anymore. You want to blame me? I'll go, yeah, okay, because there's something in that dynamic that that I'm going to learn from. And also I don't want to put any charge on it, because I don't want someone to think, have bad thoughts about me. Because if I teach that I'm the creator, why would I turn around and go, well, no, you did this and whatever? I'm not going to go into any of that. I'm just going to say, yeah, I've created that. So that's my new response to anything. let's say whatever it is, yes, I'm the creator of that, and I'm not going to engage in it. I'm not going to go back, and so that is really helped me even go to another level, because my mother, my sister, who's 16 years younger than me, she wasn't around any abuse because my father left. And I called my mother, this is some time ago, because she says that I say to her, you wonder why I'm a little bit antsy with you, and that's because you don't acknowledge what I went through. You don't take any, you don't say sorry, you don't do anything. And I try to do it in a really good way. And she just goes, why would I apologize? I didn't do it. And I said, I was beaten at the age of 3. She doesn't believe I was sexually abused, but she knows I was beaten and I was picked on more so. And yeah, so she goes, well, why would I apologize? And so I called her like she's like disconnected. I said something a little bit, I don't know what I said, something like she's so dysfunctional or something like that. And I apparently upset her. And then my sister had a go at me, and I said to her, well, this is why. You weren't around. You don't know my life. And then she said, and I said, don't worry, I'm going to apologize to my mother. And what I actually realized is by talking to my sister, who's actually a biochemist, she's a scientist, she thinks that my mother's autistic. She's totally smart, but I think we've all got these levels of disconnection because, and so we just don't get it. People just don't get, and that's happening right on the planet now. They're all the people that go out and make these choices that are detrimental. And that's all the, the toxins that they put in our bodies. And I think that's what, when we get to that level where we can just go neutral and go, you know what? Okay. And all right, I've created that. That's really big. I mean, that's big to say, yep, I've created that. Someone wants to be, yep, I've created that because I've got an interaction with you. But that's the next level of saying, I'm going to stay in peace. And it's difficult. It's my, I'm always going to a new level, but that's the level I am now. So, but I did apologize to my mum for calling her that. And my sister turned around and actually told my mum, apologized for me. She actually stood up for me. And my mother actually responded and said, well, I hit her so that my father wouldn't hit her. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So I kind of don't remember, but she beat me so that I wouldn't get beaten by my father. And that, like, the level of lack of thinking and lack of awareness of how much someone can be harmed is what's on the planet. And so, and it's very difficult for the empaths because you feel everything so much and you go, don't you see it? Don't you see my pain? But this is the whole agenda. And if we can get through it, and if we can heal ourselves and connect to source and then completely put our trust in source, that's the new 5D. That's going into this new humane world. And with us being empaths, an empath wouldn't hurt anybody. So it's actually a gift, and that will allow people to move forward because they're connected. And that's what I say. People that are disconnected would harm, and someone that's connected and feels won't. So it seems, like it's difficult being an empath in this world, but that is our journey to be able to finally get through. This is once in a lifetime of what we're going through, but our reward of this new humane world will be, but this pain will be a thing of the past and it will be free. So but as that journey, you get to one level and then you get to another level, and we're peeling off those layers as we go through. So I'm always looking at my life and I go, I've attracted that. I don't like that, or I do like that, whatever is happening. And I'll say, I'm in the flow. Yep. And if it's not, I'll say, what is it? And often I'm mindful of people around me because there's something about me where people's energies come into me, and then I go and manifest who they are if they hang out with me for long enough, or I've got someone, it's this really fine line. I've had great attractions when they're great, and then if they're not that great. but that's how. But when we look, if someone that's abused will have toxic people around them, so their comfort zone in adulthood can be a toxic environment, and that's where we wake up and go, I've got to change that home environment, because most of the time I'll say to somebody when they'll tell me a problem, I go, you're still living that childhood right now. You're still thinking like that. You've still got the same chaos, the same patterns. And I'll go, yes, we'll get uncomfortable now. Because if you're not uncomfortable, that blueprint's not changing. And you must have had a lot of courage to go through. It's really courage is saying, I'm going to do this. I'm getting out of this hell of a life. I'm getting out of this pain. And it's having that courage and coming. And then you go, it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I've never felt freer. And then you go to, it's always this continual level, but you'll go, oh, and it's also satisfying.
Yeah, I resonate completely with what you're saying, and been experience a bit of a similarity there also with my mother, that her husband sexually abused me and she never believed me. She
Oh, really?
out, on bail, saying to the judges that I invent stories and that's a lie, and never admitted her whole life, was always under the carpet, hidden. And whenever I brought it up in certain landmarks of my life, I got to a stage where I just burst with that whole truth in the face, and it was always very badly received and created a whole chaos. And and then I went through my healing, and actually from after doing healing, I decided to cut off my relationship with my mother, because she was really toxic in my life. And I realized that after every conversation with her, I not only cry, but I'm like a mess afterwards. I need to pick up the pieces. And I realized that I don't need that and I don't choose that anymore. And so I cut my relationship with her in my early 20s for 2 years, which is really hard for me, because the nature of our dynamic was very manipulative from her side. She was always threatening to commit suicide, and she tried when I was younger, saved her life. So that was really a real threat. But I knew that for my sanity and for my journey, I am not willing to carry on this toxic relationship. And when 2 years passed by and I was ready to renew the relationship, it went on a whole other dynamic from there on. So that was a very essential part in my relationship with her. And I was always very strong in, this is my story and I'm going to tell it to the world, whether you like it or not. She obviously did not like it. And when I was publishing my book, I was really nervous. It took me years to get to the point where I'm ready to share my story on a global scale. And, I was holding back for many years and not having the courage to go out with it. And once I decided, okay, I'm owning my story, this is my story, nobody can take it from me. And my mother called me just before my book was published, and she said to me, for the first time in my life, I am so proud of you, bless you, I bless your journey. So
that's courageous and that's what has to be done. You have to be courageous enough to say, if something's toxic, I'm going to have to get another relationship with source, or I'm going to have to pull on something else because it's not worth it. That's amazing. And I would say that, and I'd ask you this question, because your mother is manipulative, or was, I don't know what she's like now, but that is the programming from childhood, and also she's betrayed you, then that sets up the program and the blueprint that you would then attract people that betray you or manipulate you, because that is, until you work through it. I don't know, is that been something that you've seen?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was recreating my childhood dynamics in every possible way.
Yeah.
I also grew up with a stepmother, because I moved when I was 10 years old. And she was very manipulative and mean. And I have attracted all
Wow.
those people into my life until I
Ah.
started embarking on healing, until I let go of these people and really took responsibility for my life, and how I want it to look like, and really holding on to that vision. And, yeah, it's been a journey of years.
Wow, you're extraordinary, because I've seen people that can have those types of role models, and then become like that, or have parts of them like that they don't see. But so you've really, not saying that, I'm just, your energy is just, really a warrior, so courageous, but very pure. So you've really transmuted the damage, and that's quite extraordinary. And it takes guts. It takes guts, and putting out the book too, putting out your story.
Yeah, well, whatever you see is a reflection of yourself, because you are just the same. So as the
Thank you.
warriors and the teachers of the world, it's important to share this message that we all have our own story. It is not a competition who had it worse, or what, what event was worse than others, because we all have our baggage that we carry, and it's a heavy baggage, right? It's
Isn't it?
it weighs
Totally.
ourselves down.
You see, you'd be healing your ancestors' damage. I mean, that's also part of why you've incarnated, is to heal your ancestors' pain. So, and that's why, that you're courageous and you're a warrior. Because you're the one that could only do it, because most people, it's tough. Anyone that wants to go on this journey, I have to just, stark night of the soul stuff.
You're absolutely right. I went there consciously to heal my lineage. I'm coming from the Holocaust lineage, so these terror stories in my second bloodline. I mean, my grandparents have experienced the Holocaust, so there was a lot of terror, and I have used plant medicines. Thank goodness for them.
I did that too.
Yeah, and
how was that for you? Did you? How was it? Was it a difficult journey? The plant medicine. What was it like?
So it's all from all. I had journeys where I really died, right? Spiritual death in the journey. I had to completely dissolve, completely lay out my ego, completely die to reborn. And it's scary. It's going into the underground. It's not pleasant, but it's so empowering that I would not see myself being who I am today, haven't I not done that. And then I had journeys that it was pure bliss. And I had a journey that I would share because we brought it up. And I really encourage plant medicine done in the right setup with the right shamans. It's not something to take lightly. It's a very powerful
You have to
journey.
be called.
You have to be called, and you have to be guided with the right energy. So that's really, really important. But I had a journey that I walked into an ayahuasca journey, and my grandmother was begging me to come visit her in Israel with my children. She hasn't seen my youngest one, and she hasn't seen all of them together for many years. And I was not coming to visit her because of many reasons, partially because of my mother being around and the dynamics and all of that. Anyway, I was eventually decided, okay, I'm buying the ticket, and I want to make her wish come true. I knew that she's not feeling very great. So I had the tickets, and here in 3 months, I'm going to visit her. And I happened to speak to my mother just before I walked into the journey, which I haven't spoken to her for a long, long time, some months. And she said to me that my grandmother is really not doing well. And I didn't realize that she deteriorated that much. And I walked into the journey, and I was under the influence of the ayahuasca. I went outside under the big tree, and her face came to me from the moon. She literally came and stood in front of me. And that was a moment that I told her, she told me that she's proud of me, which was incredible. And I told her that she doesn't have to wait for me if she needs to go. I've got goosebumps where I'm saying that because we had a moment of separation, and I have learned that that was when she passed over.
Wow, amazing.
So that was our moment of saying goodbyes, and she visited me on her way out, and I will forever cherish that moment.
How beautiful. Yes. I mean, there's not much I haven't done, and I've always done something where I've been called. I've done lots of healing modalities, and then I've done the created the forensic healing system, and that just keeps taking me deeper. And for when I did the ayahuasca, I'd gone through the dark night of the soul many times before. So my ayahuascas, which are about 3 ceremonies, were basically seeing the matrix and having, and it doesn't sound bad, but it was bad, and very bad, in fact. And there's a night from hell, and it was like being. The first time I saw everything fake. Everything was fake. It's like being in, an amusement park, and you get pulled on a ride, and you just keep kind of going round and round and round, and like in a Rotorua thing. That was the first time. The second time was really bad. It was at a different location. But the thing was, the first time I did it, I had a beautiful shaman sing over me, and that vision stopped, and I'm like, oh, that's relief. The next time I was in this ceremony, I'm on the matrix, and I could see the coding, and they're telling me, they say, you can't get off this matrix because we've coded you in every way. Like they code your family, they code, but everything's kind of, we're in a system. And they said, you can't get off. And I was just seeing the codes, and then the music would play, and I get pulled back on, and I'm like, and I thought, okay, I'm not going to ask these people that are here, because they were like toxic. The people that were running it were toxic. And I had to deal with them because I couldn't be near anybody. I feel everyone's stuff. I had to be away. And anyway, so basically it got to this. I looked out to the sky. I saw the lines, the matrix lines out in the sky. And then I just said, you know what? All I've got to get off this is my power and I said affirmations, and I just go, I have to use all my power to get off this matrix, because there's nothing else I have. No one's going to help me. And I was using my consciousness to get off. And it was this whole night of this. And that's really what the message is today. There are people to help us. We need to unite. We need to have that unity consciousness. But in essence, it's this consciousness that get us uncomfortable. I got to go above this. And that's really tough if you've got negativity, or you've got people that have hurt you, you've got this anger. And that's why I like to help people. And I say, yeah, we've got to move you on, but we'll stop and we'll talk. We'll sound sorry. We'll bring back fragments that you've lost. And a lot of times we have crucifixion implants on our meridians, and they're like being like a martyr, like Jesus is it's a false archetype of, martyrdom. And that vision is a role model for martyrdom and for having a life of suffering, hardship, and, an unhappy ending. And we've got to get out all this coding that we're here to suffer. That's the other thing, where we've got to start undoing the suffering implants. And religion does that, baptism does that. So not only do we have our childhood, we've got to undo the black magic and spells, and be mindful of what we say. And that's why, I have a group. It's not very big. I moved groups. I had a big one of 9,000 people in one group, and I thought, you know what, I'm getting out of this. I'm going to go create, because I didn't feel comfortable. And it's now a small group of 400 or 500 people, but I don't let anyone in that's got negativity on their page. They're not coming. I go, if you're negative and you're saying that, and I bring you into the group, I won't do that. I'm very mindful of what we're choosing. And that's the other thing that we need to be aware of. What am I choosing? What am I eating? What am I, who am I hanging out with? Where are my thoughts? And everything is an energy. Like for me, and I don't want to offend anybody, but I'm, vegetarian, vegan, because I don't want to eat something that I've caused harm on another animal. I don't want to cause any harm. And for my own selfishness. And I won't do that. Everything that I do is like, or if I buy makeup, is my makeup cruelty free? I don't want to have it tested on an animal because ignorance is no longer a choice anymore, because that still has karma. Even if we're not aware of what we're doing, it still holds a karma. It's like someone saying, well, I went to war and I killed people. Yeah, you were forced to and all that, but still you did the act. We all have this level of, whatever we're doing, unknown or known, is got some sort of energetic effect. And I don't want to have anyone I don't like around me, because then I have to shut down my feelings, because I don't want to be mean to them. I don't want to have to shut down my feelings. It's all this, I'm always looking at the energy. And when you choose the good energy, you attract the good. It's a bit like when you're on a diet. Let's say you say, I'll eat a donut every week, and then after, or 2 donuts, and then after a while you put on all that weight. You're not noticing it that much, but it adds up. The same with when you choose energy. You go, I'm going to be mindful of the energy. It's only a little bit. It's like something I'll eat well, and I'll have a good friend, and I'll have a positive conversation. I'll join a positive group. I won't engage anymore in negativity. But all these little bits of energy start accumulating. And then they start coming back to you, and you go, oh, my life is nicer. I feel more peace. And that's that awareness. And, that's my next book, is The Laws and Effects of Everything Energy. And having a energy business is really, and then healing as well. And then being forensic healing, which means I've got to go and find out why this is happening for you. What's going on here? Because there's an array of all sorts of reasons. But what it really comes down to is, even if you do have a curse in you or whatever, we've still got to release, like toxicity. We've got heavy metals and toxins in our body. That's a low vibration, so it's going to attach to that. That's what they like to throw the chemtrails and poison us with fluoride, because it brings down our energy. So then all these entities and negative stuff can go into our bodies. So everything, we just got to do this journey of keep getting lighter and cleaner, and thoughts and feelings, and be very responsible. Because I'll say to someone, because when you do energy healing, especially when you do it via Zoom, we're here, and someone's got pain on the other side of we might be in another state, and then their pain goes. All we are is speaking words and doing our healing. I go, well, if we can do that with just energy, what about negative stuff? If I've got a bad thought, that's just as much as, good energy can heal, negative energy can harm. And people compromise too much on that. And I won't compromise, because I pay for it. And so deliberate in that choice of energy. But if it's coming to me, I didn't choose well, there's something, so I don't get a good flow there, I still take responsibility. And then, so if I take responsibility and I change something, I look back, where's this pattern? Is this pattern of relationships? I'm used to someone that's kind of toxic or a bit negative. I always looking and analyzing, do you want me to go this way or whatever? Then if I do a change, I'm going to be different in a week's time, in a month's time, in a year's time, because I keep saying I've created that and I need to change. And then I have all the power. We have all the power, right? And so it's takes a lot to get there. The reason why I get there is because I know this is the law, like you would know, it's the law of why would I want to be mad at anyone? Why do I want to write anything bad? Or why would I do it? Because then I know that it will just come back to me. It's showing me who I am. If I'm writing all that stuff, I've got to be more than that, because otherwise I'll get crap in my life. I just got to be more. So if I want more in my life, and the pain, if I had everything, I'd be a bit complacent, wouldn't I? If everything was so smooth, I'd be complacent and I wouldn't be changing, because I'd be like, I don't feel compelled. I'll just mosey on. Our discomfort makes us change all the time and grow. And So I go, I'll just change voluntarily, universe. Don't have to give me a lesson. I'll just go, I'll choose now. I'll get up. I'm getting up early in the morning. I'm going to create this day and make the most of everything. So you don't have to make it difficult. I'm already changing. I'm already ahead of it. That's kind of how I look at it. Because I think when you suffered enough, and I don't know how you've gone through what, you've gone through, Nunes, because with the genetics of the Holocaust plus the abuse, that's just beyond words. So, well, like you inspire me, having overcome that and doing what you do, because most people don't get that far. And you'll probably find it. You'll probably find in your journey someone that has gone through something like that. They don't often make it. I mean, they get to, it's when someone falls off the horse and then they go, I give up, and that's wrong. You can fall off the horse, but you go, I just know I have to keep going. And I really admire. When you told me that, I just think, because that's your whole blueprint. You've had to change your whole blueprint. So what do you think has been the way you've changed the blueprint, has made the most impact?
Definitely my willingness to do the healing work. I have done many modalities. I have really went off the cliff, so to speak, in my dedicated healing, which I have been doing for 3 decades now. Don't need much of it these days, I must say, because I just don't need it. I'm just keeping on my practice, my morning routine, my daily meditation, my cold immersions, and I do find that if I don't keep that, then I'm slowly spiraling down. So it is a maintenance, daily maintenance, but willingly going into that healing journey. And also, I think that being a mother, that was my life mission, and I was willingly accepting what my kids have been pointing out to me, that I had to grow and change, which a lot of parents get very defensive and reactive to that, because kids have the ability to see all our blind spots, and they have the almost obligation to point them out. And it's when we are willing to take it in and sit with that very uncomfortable fire. Oh gosh, it's very uncomfortable to hear the truth, the most like potent, hurting, in your face kind of truth. So I was willing to sit in it and really take it to heart and see, okay, they've got a point. How do I transform that? How do I change so I become more of myself? So I'm becoming a better human being, a better mother, and so they were my biggest teachers. Besides the healing, definitely my children, my gurus.
You're right. You have to, because when you've been abused and had so much suffering, you want to protect as much self-worth as you can and be right about anything that you can be. So, and by really looking at your flaws like you did, takes a lot, because that's what most abused people, they want to maintain whatever they can to not change or not look at their pain or not look at their flaws. So yeah, that's I think that's the next part. The biggest part of everything is actually getting real. And I push people when I do the workshops. I really push them, and I decided not to push as much. And I kept changing. And I found that I get a different group of people in the workshops. They just get better, because I look at the workshop and I go, did I like that part or didn't I? But I will notice if I tell someone, I go, well, your parents, they go, why is this isn't working? And then they'll be hanging around with their parents who are very negative and toxic, and they may not like me saying that. And then they'll go, oh, that felt uncomfortable. And they're the people that go, I'll look at that instead of fighting it, are the ones that always go, I think that's the probably so important what you just said. It's like, am I willing to see myself in all my flaws and change and take it on board? And I think that is definitely where we draw the line, when someone goes further and someone doesn't. And that's with anything, though, isn't it? When you think you know it all, and when you want to hang on to your status quo, then you'll be the same. Your energy stays the same. If you do what you've always done and you do it your way, you'll always get what you've got. So why not go, okay? And then I always say, well, but let's just look at it. Let's look at the law of attraction. Okay, so you got people around you that are toxic and negative. Well, that energy is going in you, and you've got a child. Well, that's going to go in them. But so don't you think? Well, let's look at that. We wonder why you're not getting the results you want. So it's not that I'm right. I just go, let's look at law of attraction, and that's what I like to do. I go, I'm not running on belief systems or anything. I'm just going to show you the laws of the energy, so that you go away and you look at laws of energy in your life. You start questioning, what am I choosing? Is it the good energy? Yeah. So anyway, I'm glad you brought that one up.
Yeah, thank you so much for such an enlightening conversation. I have to wrap it up because we are a bit over time, but it was very well worth it. So I just want to end up by asking you, if people want to connect with you, work with you, hop onto your workshop, what's the best way?
Well, I'm actually teaching my last workshop, so I'm actually in live training. So, but they can come to forensichealing.com. I have some freebies there, and that's how they can connect and just, got some, free startup energy courses. So, they're welcome to do that. Yeah, but it's been great. I've loved this conversation with you, Nunasai. So thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the work you're doing for the world. Yeah, you shine, sister. That's needed, and I really honor you for that.
Bless you, and I wish you a million blessings over, and to anyone that's watching this, a million blessings your way.
Thank you. And I do know that you also have a free gift for our VIP members. So if you just want to quickly say what it is, and
yeah. So the free gift is the first module of Get the Universe Working for You. So it gets everybody thinking about the laws of the universe. So that's the first module, so they can start unpacking and looking at all the parallels of why they're creating what they're creating. So yeah, it's great. It's a life, it's what we've got to understand is these laws that we're living in. There's laws at play. There's some law, there's energy laws, and we've got to learn them. We're never taught them. It's like saying, well, I don't know, the court laws. Then you've got no power. Well, let's look at the energy laws and look at why am I creating what I'm creating? And so that's really, I think it's a life skill, and getting people to understand, be mindful of focusing and all of those kind of things. Let's use the laws to get what we want and to heal. So, yep. That's you've got that one available. Get the universe working for you. Yeah.
Great. That is really what we've been talking about this whole conversation. So go get it. Another reason to get a VIP ticket for you guys, and wrapping this beautiful conversation. And until the next time we meet, ciao for now. Lots of love.
Beautiful.
And your way.
Gorgeous. Thank you.
Thank you.